I knew that I need to get a doctorate degree because as a doctor I can say ain't and it's okay. I couldn't say that as a high school graduate, so that has worked out very well.
And the church that you're talking about, the full name?
First Baptist Church in Vienna, Virginia.
And how long were you there?
25.4 months. 25 years and 4 months.
Amazing. That is a true legacy.
Yeah.
So let's talk about you coming to Fairfax. How did that arrive? How did you get here?
My family and I, after finishing my first degree, I had been in Omaha for about 14 years, and I knew the personnel people there. So they were, every time I would finish a controlled tour, I would go and talk to someone, and they gave me another controlled tour, and we stayed there for 14 years. And then I went to college, and they call it, I forget what term they use now, but I was still in the military, but they allowed me to go to school full time because I need one more year, so they allowed me to go to, and when I came back, the guy who was giving me the controlled tour, he was gone. And so I ended up going to Turkey. And you can either do 2 years with your family or 1 year by yourself. So I chose to do 2 years with my family. So we went to Turkey. And Turkey was the best thing that ever happened to our family. It brought us very close together because it didn't have any very limited TV. So after the 2 years, we came to Northern Virginia. And we joined the Bethlehem Baptist Church.
Was this at Fort Belvoir you were stationed?
I was stationed at Fort Belvoir.
What was Fort Belvoir like during that time?
Well, I'm not sure if what we experienced had to do with racial stuff as it had to do with the difference in the armed forces. Fort Belvoir is Army, and we were Air Force. And when we got there, they gave us some accommodations that were horrible. And my family said, we are not going to stay in this for temporary accommodation they'd given to us, so we went somewhere else. And Air Force had a compound on Fort Belvoir, so we were enclosed and had very limited contact with the Army because everything we did was within that compound. And so that was, you saw little tinges of things, but pretty much people in that compound, we were all sort of together, we was kind of community. But I knew in my own mind, I saw things that I knew were not right in terms of promotions, in terms of jobs that people got that I think they could have been fairer than what I witnessed. So, and what I have to be very careful about is that I got 2 daughters, and my daughters would go to a restaurant and the person set them by the kitchen and they think nothing about it, or by the bathroom, and they think nothing about it. If I take my wife to a restaurant and they set me by the bathroom, I do think something about it. I think something is wrong with this. When there's seats up front and you take me all the way back into the bathroom, my daughters would it wouldn't be an issue. But for me, it is an issue. So I had to be very careful that I don't look out of lenses that say everything is racial. Mm-hmm. Something could have been that's just the next seat that was available, and that's where they put me. Mm-hmm. But for me, you're going to have to validate that for me. I need to know that this was the next seat, and you didn't put me here just because I'm black. Because I'm going to pay the same price that the people up front pay. I'm going to pay the same price. And if I got my wife, I want to be in the best seat you got in here. Mm-hmm. So, but I have to be very careful about that because I know that I look at things a little bit different than people, younger people would look at things. Mm-hmm. I think that's good, but I think sometimes it's bad because things are happening to you and you think it's because of you in terms of your abilities or skills, intellect or whatever, and it has nothing to do with that. It has to do with something else. Mm-hmm. People just have made their mind made up to that one. I remember as pastor in First Baptist, this fella came in and he worked at one of the major companies, and I won't call the name of the company, and he was telling me that he had been at this job and he was making this almost 30, 40 years ago now, he was making like $90,000. And he had just gotten a promotion. and he was lamenting, and I'm thinking to myself as he was telling me the story, how in the world can you be lamenting? You're making $90,000 a year. But he was saying he was at a job where white would come in, he trained them, and then 2 weeks later they're his boss. And they wouldn't move him up in position, they just give him more money. And he was now questioning himself, is it because of his skills and intellect or whatever, or is it because of the racial stuff? And he was really grappling with trying to figure that out. And so I'm saying all that to say, I think that sometimes that kind of thing causes us a lot of problems when we have to struggle with, just because I'm black does not necessarily mean I need to be promoted, but you shouldn't not promote me because I'm black either. And there are many times when you didn't promote me, not because I didn't deserve the job, not because I couldn't do the job, I had skill to do the job, you did